All right, let's talk about my plan to make $1 billion from my SaaS. Just kidding. I'm aiming for $10,000 a month, and then I'll do some math to figure out what it would take to get that to $100,000 a month. Um, so the funny thing is I actually worked on this app before, and also heed this reminder before you start watching. But I actually worked on this business idea. I had the idea like probably a year ago almost, and I just sat on it for like 3 or 4 months, and then I kind of implemented a first version, and then I kind of pulled back, implemented another version, pulled back. Every time I pull back, I kind of lose conviction. You just like start working on it, and then you get to a certain point, and you go, "Oh, it's not going to work for this reason," and you kind of rationalize to yourself why it's not going to work. When the core idea, the core problem that you're trying to solve is still there, and it is still a problem, um, but you just kind of lose sight of it and how to solve it. And I think it is a cycle, at least for me, is kind of getting that because you need to be inspired to actually code and do good work. Um, and sometimes you're not. And so I think that's totally okay. But here's the plan basically. So what it does is analytics for agencies. Okay, so if you run a marketing agency, maybe but basically what you have is you're running like Facebook ads or something, and then those Facebook leads come to your client, and how do you draw a person? This is your client, okay? And so they go to your client, and then your client needs to call that person, and so this is going to be a phone. Your client needs to call that person and sell them on something. But what often happens is you're gonna get leads. Yep, that's easy enough. Actually, let's add a little pizzazz to this presentation here. So you're gonna get leads. That's easy enough. They're gonna go to your client. I mean, without a doubt. You just text them over. But then this usually doesn't really happen. Okay. Usually your client is gonna struggle to call their leads, and even if they do, they're gonna struggle to sell. And so you're going to end up with a very small conversion rate. Like from here, let's say like 100% of your clients, or maybe, some people are in a smaller area, so it's harder for them to get leads. We say 90% of them get to this point. But then to calling them, I would say probably 50% actually call their leads. And then from there, probably something like 20% actually can close anyone. So if you're charging someone, like a lot of agencies will charge $2,000 plus, especially when you factor in the cost of the ads themselves, $2,000 plus, and only 20% make their money back, like it just sucks. It's super hard. I mean, first of all, your churn is off the charts, so a lot of the times, unless you're selling like a paid in full where you pay like $5,000 for 3 months or something, you're gonna have a ton of churn in the first month. And besides the business problem, it's like a psychological problem where you're just seeing your clients fucking shit the bed and hate you for it. And even though it's their fault, kind of your fault, but it's their fault at the end of the day. And yeah, and it sucks. And the reason I had this idea is because I actually ran an agency, so I kind of understand the plight of the agency owner. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to build an analytics platform that's going to display this data for our clients. So if I come over to my wireframes here, where did I draw this out? So I started building it in Figma, and then I just went over to Framer because I like the HTML more. But I realized I like Tailwind and HTML a lot more than fucking Framer, so I'll probably just use that next time. Which is funny. It's like the opposite of wireframing. But what we have here is we have the card for, so you're going to have like a list of your locations. You can imagine like this is all locations down here. And then it'll just give you kind of a top level overview with our traffic light here, which just tells you like the broad kind of like, how good are they doing at a top level. And then we can see like things like client inputs, agency inputs. So like, lead or like ad performance, and then the final results of those two together. And so if agencies had this at their fingertips, they wouldn't have to like spend so much time managing their clients, and they could just pay attention to the ones that are struggling. So that's essentially the goal, and I've been hearing that this is a problem. I actually have two mentors, which I didn't expect to say, But shout out to Jackson and Cameron. They're both big agency owners, and they both have these types of problems. And they're also not like working on their agency all the time, or they don't want to be like worrying about it all the time. Like they just want to kind of be able to run it and maybe have like a small team that helps them. And this would eliminate a lot of kind of overhead and stress and time, required to manage clients. So this is the idea. And like I said, I've had this idea for a long time, and it's just taken a long time for me to really implement this. And this might not even be the last version that I'm going to implement, but let's go on to how it's going to work. So this is what we're going to do. Pricing. In terms of pricing, I'm going to charge $4.97 a month. All right. And this is the beautiful thing about building softwares for agencies, because if you do this for an agency might be doing, like, let's say, I don't know, let's just say $50,000 a month. And that means they have 50 clients, right? At $1,000 a month, or 25 clients at $2,000 a month, which is a lot. But if you're really good at, selling and kind of leading a team, like, that's easily achievable. Not easily achievable, but it's very realistic. There's a lot of agencies doing 50 grand a month. And so $4.97 a month, if this can make client management significantly easier, as easy as I think it will be, then they're absolutely going to be happy to pay, let's see, 497, or it's just 500 divided by 50,000. Yeah, 1%. This is literally 1% of their total revenue. They'll be fucking above the moon to pay 1%, over the moon is the correct term. They'll be over the moon to pay 1% of their revenue, so that they don't have to spend an hour every day managing their clients and worrying about which ones are going to churn, if I can actually do a good job of fixing this problem. Because there are solutions out there, but they fucking suck. And this is, as I was explaining, this is the beauty of helping agencies. Because if you're helping someone normal, so let's say you have a to-do app, most to-do apps, I mean, Notion, $12 a month. I mean, holy cow. And maybe this is why it only really applies to tech nerds, but let's say $12 a month, you're like, $12 a month is fucking insane. If we do $4.97 divided by 12, that's literally 40 times more. That's 2.5% of what I'm charging my clients. And so that means you have to acquire 40 clients for every single client that I acquire. And I guarantee you, it's not going to be 40 times easier to acquire a client. Because if we do $12 a month, and we say 12 times 100, so $1,200. So, I mean, this is less than 1% of someone's typical income, right? Let's say they earn like $5K a month. Top line from their job. What would that be? So 12 divided by 5,000. That's a really small number. It's going to be that, right? Yeah. So it's going to be 0.25%. Or no. It's going to be that. 0.25%, but, like, still, it's not 40 times easier to acquire a customer, because it's only 4 times cheaper, relative to what someone is earning than my app. So, anyways, $4.97 a month, that means, let's say, $4.97 a month equals, if I want to get to $10,000 a month, that means I literally only need about, that's the tilde sign, 20 clients, right? Because $4.97 times 20 is $9,940. 20 clients, that's all you need. And especially with these B2B softwares, people just kind of forget about how much they're paying, and like they're focused on the business and growing the business. You know, they're not worried about like tiny little expenses. Business owners are always, I guess you could say this for most people, but people are always thinking forward in terms of like what they can do to get better. Um, that's why rocket money is a thing. You know, people don't look at their expenses all the time, and so I'm not saying I'm hoping that this is something people forget about, but I am saying I think my churn is going to be relatively low, and I think there's way more than 20 big agencies that could find this app useful. I think there's probably thousands, and so if you're following along with the math here, then to get to 100K a month, we would just multiply this number by 10, and that would be 200 clients. And obviously 200 clients is far more than 20 clients. Like 20 clients I could probably, you know, shake some hands, kiss some babies, and I'll be there. But 200 clients, I'm going to have to run ads, I'm going to have to find some actual distribution channels and really make it make sense for my, you know, my LTV of my customers. But, I mean, this is like so much more doable than basically anything else, you know, when it comes to SaaS. Mark Liu makes a shit ton of money with ShipFast. I'm sure you've heard of it. ShipFast. That's the domain, I think. ShipFast. And this is, it's a one-time fee, but it's like $229 or something, I want to say, or like $300 around there. And so most of his revenue is coming from this number right here. If you charge a bigger number, if you solve a bigger problem, you make more money. And that's just kind of the long and short of it. I will probably have an affiliate program here, so I think I'll have to have like, and I have a couple clients that, my mentors that I'm kind of like giving it to for free, because they're helping me develop it. But yeah, I think that, I don't know, it's just like, it's got to be, like, if you can solve a valuable problem, you're going to make money. But if you can also reward people for referring your product, like, that's the plan here. I think I'll probably share like 40 to 50% of the revenue in like cash for referrals. Oh jeez, dude. Because these agency owners know each other, and if I can get them to share this app naturally, instead of me having to spend $200, $300, $400 to acquire a customer and hop on a sales call, if these guys can just like recommend it to their friends and they sign up, both parties are happy. If I'm paying them, you know, $200 for their friend who's using the app, plus I'm making $300, like, that's a banging deal, you know, for all parties involved. So yeah, just cracking on with this. See you in the next video.